August 1944. The Allied armies have broken out of Normandy, flooding across the French countryside in a surge of victory. General George S. Patton's Third Army charges eastward like an unleashed beast, faster than anyone expected, faster than logistics can keep up. The tanks roar ahead, chewing through miles and diesel in equal measure. But behind the thunder of treads and triumph, a deadly silence grows. The fuel is running out. On the maps in German command centers, crimson arrows mark Patton's advance. The Wehrmacht officers watch and sneer. To them, it's a joke. The Americans fight like millionaires, one general laughs. They'll run out of gas before they reach the Rhine. And for a brief, terrifying moment, he's right. By mid-August, Allied supply lines are stretched to breaking. The ports are wrecked, the railways useless, and the trucks, what few there are, crawl across bomb-cratered roads already choked with mud. Every gallon of fuel, every bullet, and every ration must travel hundreds of miles from Normandy to the front. The tanks that once rolled unstoppable now sit silent in the fields, their crews waiting, watching, cursing the empty cans stacked around them. Patton fumes in his headquarters. His army, built for speed and aggression, is strangled by its own success. He growls, "My men can eat their belts, but my tanks need gasoline." The war has turned from one of bullets to one of barrels. In Paris, Eisenhower's strategists scramble for answers. How do you feed an army that moves faster than its supply chain? The Allied victory could stall, perhaps even reverse, if they can't find a way to move ton after ton of supplies, without rest, without rails, and without time. Amidst this chaos, a new kind of battle begins, not fought with guns, but with engines and endurance. Somewhere in the confusion, a radical idea takes shape, an idea so bold it sounds insane. What if an entire highway could become a lifeline? What if trucks could flow in an endless, rolling river of supplies, 24 hours a day, no stops, no breaks? The generals call it the Red Ball Express. And as Europe burns, its engines are about to roar to life.
Late August 1944, the euphoria of the breakout fades into frustration. Across northern France, convoys crawl through shattered villages and cratered roads. The Allied advance, once unstoppable, is now starving for fuel. Every day, Patton's tanks sit idle, their crews watching the horizon, waiting for trucks that never come. The supply officers do the math, and the numbers are brutal. The Third Army burns nearly 500,000 gallons of fuel per day, but the ports can't unload fast enough. The railways are bombed beyond repair, and the trucks on hand are too few. Drivers collapse from exhaustion, engines overheat, and every bridge and road is a bottleneck. General Patton fumes. His tanks are so close to the German border he can almost taste victory, but his supply lines are strangling him. "My men can take Paris," he snaps, "if you give me gasoline." But no one can. The roads are chaos, the weather unpredictable, and the logistics chain, designed for short pushes, has hit a wall. In Eisenhower's headquarters, tempers flare. Some staff officers suggest halting Patton's army entirely until new ports can open. Others propose diverting supplies from Montgomery's front to feed the Third Army. But Patton refuses to wait. He knows momentum is everything. An army that stops is an army that dies. At this breaking point, a desperate plan emerges from a team of transportation officers led by Brigadier General Erwart Plank and Major General John C.H. Lee. They propose something radical, a dedicated highway reserved only for supply convoys, stretching from Normandy's beaches to Patton's spearhead. It will run day and night, one direction in, one direction out, with no civilian traffic, no interference, and no rest stops. Every truck will be part of a living chain, moving at maximum speed. The plan sounds impossible. The distance is vast, the roads are narrow, and the trucks are already worn thin. To make it work, they'll need thousands of drivers, thousands of vehicles, and a system that never sleeps. The only question: where will they find the manpower? The answer comes from an overlooked force: the African-American truck drivers of the U.S. Army's service units. Segregated, undertrained, and underestimated, these men are suddenly thrust into the most critical role of the war. Their mission: keep Patton's tanks alive. When the order comes down, the motor pools explode into motion. Mechanics work through the night to patch broken trucks. Drivers grab what sleep they can between shifts. The men joke bitterly that their fuel convoys are worth more than gold. And they're right. The entire fate of the Allied advance now rests on their shoulders. Somewhere in a dimly lit tent, an officer pins a red ball insignia to a wall map, the symbol of high-priority transport. From now on, this route never stops. Outside, the first trucks roar to life, engines rumble, headlights cut through the fog. The Red Ball Express has begun.
September 1944. Dawn breaks over Normandy, and a new kind of army begins to move. Not soldiers with rifles, but drivers, mechanics, and loaders behind the wheels of 6x6 GMC trucks. Painted on each vehicle's hood is a red circle, the Red Ball. It means priority. It means speed. It means no stopping, no excuses, no retreat. The route stretches nearly 400 miles from Cherbourg to Chartres and onward toward the front. Thousands of trucks rumble down dusty French roads, each packed with fuel cans, ammunition, rations, and spare parts. Convoys stretch for miles, their headlights forming glowing rivers through the night. Drivers run 20-hour shifts, sleeping beside their idling engines, eating from tin cans, and fixing tires in the dark. Most of them are young black soldiers, men who had been assigned to supply work, often dismissed by white officers as unfit for combat. But now they are the lifeline of the Allied advance. Under constant pressure and danger, they drive through ambushes, air raids, and roads so chewed up they threaten to swallow the trucks whole. They call themselves the Red Ball Boys, and their motto is simple: keep 'em rollin'. The rules of the Red Ball Express are ruthless. No truck may travel slower than 25 miles per hour. No convoy may stop for more than a few minutes. Any broken vehicle is pushed off the road, its cargo reloaded onto another. If a driver falls asleep, his partner slaps him awake. If the enemy bombs the road, they detour through fields, forests, or rubble. Whatever happens, the supplies must keep moving. Over 6,000 trucks run day and night, burning nearly 100,000 gallons of fuel every 24 hours just to deliver more. Mechanics cannibalize wrecked vehicles for parts, and drivers learn to navigate by instinct, following chalk arrows scrawled on signposts and barns. The roads are a blur of dust and diesel, men and motion. The Germans can hardly believe it.
Their reconnaissance reports describe endless American convoys snaking through the countryside, too fast, too disciplined to be stopped. Luftwaffe pilots attempt to bomb the routes, but the convoys scatter and regroup, unstoppable. It was like trying to bomb a river, one German pilot later recalled. Still, the Red Bull drivers pay a price. Fatigue claims as many as enemy fire. Some trucks crash in the darkness. Others vanish into ravines or are lost to ambushes. Yet replacements arrive faster than losses. The system feeds itself, momentum creating momentum. General Patton, watching from the front, marvels at the impossible pace. His tanks are rolling again, fueled and supplied by men he's never met, but whose work he now calls the artery of victory. In the supply depots, engineers track tonnage records on chalkboards. Each day, the numbers climb higher. 2,000 tons, 4,000 tons, 6,000 tons. The Red Bull Express is not just working, it's rewriting the rules of modern warfare. But the faster they go, the harder it gets. Roads crumble under the weight. Trucks break down faster than they can be repaired. And as the front stretches deeper into Europe, the question looms again. How long can this miracle last?
Late September 1944. The skies over France are gray with smoke, and the roads are alive with motion. The Red Bull Express has become more than a supply line. It's a force of nature. Patton's Third Army, once idled by lack of fuel, now tears across the countryside with unstoppable momentum. The German front is buckling, and behind every roaring tank lies a convoy that refuses to stop. Patton's orders are clear: keep moving. His tanks are burning fuel faster than ever. One division consumes 400,000 gallons in a single day. Every drop must come from those same overworked trucks racing up from the coast. It's a high-stakes race between supply and speed. And for the drivers of the Red Bull Express, there's no room for failure. Rain turns the dirt roads into rivers of mud. Tires spin, engines groan, and men push with bare hands to free vehicles weighed down with thousands of pounds of fuel. Some drivers, half asleep at the wheel, steer with one hand while gulping black coffee from the other. They don't have the luxury of stopping. Every hour lost could stall Patton's Blitz. German forces begin to target the convoys directly, launching night raids and ambushes on the roads. But the drivers fight back in their own way, accelerating into danger rather than away from it. Armed escorts ride shotgun, returning fire from the backs of speeding trucks. The air fills with dust, gunfire, and the thunder of engines. Meanwhile, at headquarters, Allied commanders watch in awe. The Red Bull Express, intended as a temporary fix, is now the backbone of the entire front. Charts on the wall track the impossible. 12,000 tons of supplies delivered daily. It's not just logistics, it's raw willpower turned into motion. One colonel calls it Patton's lifeline, another calls it madness. But to the men in the driver's seats, it's simply duty. As one sergeant tells a war correspondent, we don't think about medals, we think about the next mile. Every night, the horizon flashes with artillery from the front. The drivers can see the glow as they roll toward it, a reminder of why they can't slow down. When tanks refuel and push forward again, Patton himself credits the nameless truckers. He says, "My men can fight because you men can drive." But the cost is mounting. The trucks are braking faster, the men are collapsing from exhaustion, and the Red Bull routes are stretching farther into enemy territory. The convoy's success has become its burden. What once was daring improvisation is now a logistical nightmare straining to hold together. Still, every morning, engines roar back to life. As long as Patton's tanks move, so will they. The Red Bull Express has crossed the point of no return.
October 1944. The war in Europe grinds on, but the miracle of the Red Ball Express has already changed everything. What began as a desperate improvisation has become the heartbeat of Allied momentum. In just 3 months, more than 5,900 trucks and 23,000 drivers have carried over 400,000 tons of supplies across France, an achievement no army in history had ever matched. The Germans, once mocking America's luxury army, now face an enemy that never slows, never starves, and never stops. Their intelligence reports speak in disbelief. The Americans have built a moving city of gasoline and grit. The joke has turned to awe. General Patton's Third Army continues its relentless push toward the German border, its tanks fueled by the sweat and sacrifice of men far behind the front. Each jerrycan, each crate of ammunition is a lifeline forged by drivers who rarely see the battlefield but live its cost every mile. The front moves because they refuse to quit. As the Red Ball Express nears its end in November, the men are finally allowed to rest. Many of them, especially the black soldiers who made up over 70% of the drivers, return to base weary, proud, and largely unrecognized. Official reports praise the operation's efficiency, but their names are buried in footnotes. History, for now, forgets them. Yet their legacy endures. The techniques pioneered by the Red Ball Express become the foundation of modern military logistics, convoy coordination, mobile supply routing, and rapid resupply tactics that will shape future wars from Korea to Iraq. Even decades later, military academies study the operation as the blueprint for mechanized warfare support. In post-war interviews, Patton himself calls the Red Ball the most daring logistical achievement of the campaign. One officer adds quietly, "Without it, we'd still be in Normandy." Across the fields of France, rusted truck frames remain buried under the soil, silent monuments to the men who kept an army alive with nothing but diesel and determination. In small museums and veterans' reunions, the symbol of the red circle still appears, painted on helmets, patches, and the sides of restored trucks, a memory of motion that never stopped. In the end, the Red Ball Express was not about machines or fuel. It was about resolve, the human engine that refused to stall even when the odds and the roads were against them. The men who drove through fire and fatigue didn't just deliver supplies, they delivered victory. Decades later, long after the guns of World War II have gone silent, the echo of the Red Ball Express still rumbles through history. Veterans gather at reunions, old men with weathered faces, their memories alive with the hum of engines and the smell of diesel. They talk about the nights they drove through blacked-out France, headlights dimmed, hearts racing, trusting only the rhythm of the convoy ahead. Museums now display the symbol of the red circle, the ball that once marked priority routes across France. Visitors pause before the photographs. Endless lines of trucks, drivers smiling despite exhaustion, engines roaring through mud and fire. Beneath each image lies a story of endurance, courage, and brotherhood. In military academies, the Red Ball Express is studied not merely as logistics, but as a philosophy, a living lesson in adaptability and grit.
It teaches that wars are not won by strategy alone, but by the people who refuse to stop moving when everything else breaks down. Officers quote Patton's words, "My men can fight because you men can drive." The legacy stretches far beyond the battlefield. Civilian industries, transportation, supply chain management, even humanitarian aid borrow principles born from those chaotic French roads. Convoy systems, rapid deployment, and on-the-fly routing all trace their lineage back to that rolling river of trucks. But perhaps the most profound renewal lies in recognition. Decades after the war, historians finally highlight the unsung heroes, the thousands of black soldiers who drove day and night, facing not only enemy fire, but also prejudice from within their own ranks. Documentaries, books, and memorials now tell their stories, ensuring their names are no longer footnotes in someone else's glory. At a memorial in Normandy, a restored Red Ball truck sits beneath the open sky. Its paint is chipped, its tires worn, but on the hood shines the unmistakable red circle. A plaque beside it reads, "They kept them rolling, and in doing so, they kept freedom alive." Families visit, children climb into the cab, and somewhere in the distance, the faint rumble of a passing truck feels like an echo from 1944. The spirit of motion, the will to keep going against all odds, still lives on. The Red Ball Express was more than an operation. It was a heartbeat. And even now, generations later, that heartbeat still drives the world forward.